As long as Annabelle's not some...
Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Hey guys, it's KJ.
John.
You'll notice Winnie's not here. She is sleeping in the other room, but we're from Disney Mom Life. If you like today's video, please
give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe if you're new.
Ding that notification bell.
And leave us a comment. And today we are actually going to be talking about Cruel Summer again. Thank you so much to everybody who watched that video. We were blown away by how many people watched, commented, and it actually inspired us to not only make another video, but to get John to watch the show. So I watched it for a second time, John watched it for a first time, he is caught up, and we have another Cruel Summer video for you. With the finale coming out tomorrow, we just wanted to put together some theories on how we thought the show would be ending. There are still so many unanswered questions that there's just too many to talk about, but we highlighted what we think are probably the three biggest questions, and then we have some bonus questions for you at the end, but you'll have to stay tuned because we are dying to know what you guys think. So why don't we just get started? I think John would agree what the biggest question is, and basically what the show is all about, is who is telling the truth, Kate or Jeanette? John, are you team Kate or team Jeanette, or not really any team?
That's a tough one. I guess I would go with Jeanette, I guess, on who's telling the truth. And that might be a product of perhaps Kate's memory is a little foggy.
Well, don't give away our reasons, John.
Oh, okay. I thought we were giving away some. Well, then I guess I'm Team Jeanette on who I think is probably telling more of the truth, though I think there's some truth and some non-truths in both of their stories.
So I would agree. I also lean towards Jeanette. I feel like Kate might be the more likable character for a lot of reasons, but I do lean toward Jeanette, and I think a lot of that had to do with this past episode, episode 9. But we were going through, okay, why we thought Kate would be telling the truth, why we thought Jeanette would be telling the truth, and why they each would be lying. So let's start with Kate. So the first reason why we think Kate is telling the truth is because Jeanette really was there.
Yeah, that she was. She was there on Christmas Eve, as we saw. What we don't know is if she actually saw Kate, but she was at Martin Harris's house. So Kate scores 1 for us. She was telling the truth. Jeanette was there. Now we saw this unfold from sort of Kate's point of view, not Jeanette's. So we don't really know for sure if Jeanette saw Kate at any point, but from what we saw in the way the episode unfolded, it certainly didn't seem like she knew that Kate was in the house. She knew someone was in the house.
Right. So from Kate's perspective, she's telling the truth. Like, Jeanette really was there. And the second reason why we think she would be telling the truth is, what reason does she really have to lie? Why would she lie about Jeanette being there? Like, again, she saw Jeanette there. Why would she lie about it? Those actually were the only reasons we really feel that validate why she's telling the truth. It's sort of one reason, but like, Jeanette was there. I mean, there's no more proof that I would need from Kate's perspective to think that she's telling the truth. However, we also do think that she has motives to be lying. Yeah,
and one of the main ones is that Jeanette has basically stolen her identity while Kate's been held captive. Jeanette has adopted her friends, she's taken her boyfriend, so those could be all reasons, while after the fact, that Kate has harbored some resentment for Jeanette, and after the fact has outed her as someone who didn't do all they could to rescue her.
Right, and we know at some point Martin told Kate that Jeanette and Jamie were dating. So who knows what else he was feeding her, what other lies. Now, I mean, they were in fact dating, and yes, she was friends with her friends, but we don't know how that unfolded exactly, and we may never know, but at this point, we don't know. So all we can go on is that maybe Martin was feeding her these things and like making Jeanette out to be this monster, and maybe she actually wasn't. Like, we do not know how it unfolded, so...
We also don't know how learning that information impacted her being in a basement for months, thinking like, this girl Jeanette stole my boyfriend and my friends. Here I am, people think I'm missing or dead or whatever, and this is what she's doing. So
right. At one point, Joy, Kate's mom, mentioned that Kate always needed a bad guy. So I feel like the writers didn't just put that in for no reason. I feel like we're supposed to connect the dots and say, oh, so she's taking it out on Jeanette. I mean, Martin's gone, so where is she supposed to fuel all of this anger? She puts it towards Jeanette since she can't towards Martin. Another reason why we don't believe Kate is because she has lied. We've seen her lie. She tells the police that she had no contact with Martin before she was in the house with him, and we know that she did. She's had contact with him several times. She may have seen him at the garden party the night that she was drunk, when they were on the camping trip, and then of course when Jamie is on his lawn and he drives them home. So she's had contact with him multiple times.
Yeah, also at the fair when she
won.
Oh,
the fair, yeah, with that rabbit.
Yeah.
So she's had contact with him multiple times, and not just in passing. These were like every time it seemed to be like a heavy conversation. So she lied about that. She does somewhat lie about seeing Jeanette, unless of course she saw Jeanette later. But if we're to assume that when she saw Jeanette was what we just saw in episode 9, she says it was December, which is correct, but she says it was through the window, and Jeanette and her locked eyes and made eye contact, and she saw Jeanette leave. Well, we know if it's, they're talking about this previous episode, she wasn't in the basement and it wasn't through the window. So,
and there was no eye contact that we could discern.
That we could see. That I still maybe would give her the benefit of the doubt there, but she wasn't locked in the basement.
And one other thing, it's not exactly lying, but Kate, in parts of the season, has proven unreliable with information. She thought her father was having an affair. It turns out he isn't. And even the way she approached her mom about her own affair, she doesn't seem to like capture all the details, or things seem scattered sometimes when she actually computes them. So, you know, I'm not actually sure if she knows what she saw when it comes to Jeanette.
And to John's point, that was before her mind was even clouded by being a prisoner for so long, because I think she's an unreliable narrator because she's been through such trauma. So the fact that we can see that she's somewhat of an unreliable narrator before she was a prisoner, and then of course going through something so traumatic as being a prisoner would of course make her memory not so clear. I just feel like that really just proves the point that she's not the most reliable narrator. So that would just be another reason why, like, why do we believe her? So now moving on to Jeanette. So why believe Jeanette?
Well, based on what we've actually seen, Jeanette, while she was in the house, did not see Kate from what we saw. So she's not lying about that point, at least from what we can see. So that is the main reason I believe Jeanette. Right,
based on that episode. Now, like John said, we're seeing from Kate's perspective, so we can't know like 100%, but at least how they make it look is that Jeanette kind of just scurries out of there. Like, how did she even have time to see Kate? And we also see Kate sort of peer out after Jeanette leaves. So it would, yeah, that I'd say would be a pretty solid reason. And then I think another huge reason why I would believe Jeanette is, why would Jeanette lie about seeing Kate there? She is obsessed with the Wallises. Like, she would be such a hero if she told the police, this is where Kate is, she's in Martin Harris's house, like, come and save her. And, you know, she'd be a hero. So to me, it just doesn't make sense why, if she saw her, because at this point on Christmas Eve, she's not dating Jamie, she's not the popular girl yet, so it seems like she'd have everything to gain by telling the police that this is where Kate is. This girl's been missing for 4 months at this point, like, right? So why wouldn't she tell the police?
I completely agree.
However, let's say she really didn't see Kate on Christmas, but maybe she did go back to the house. We know she went there a lot, and maybe she did actually see Kate through the windows. Kate does say it's December, which technically it could be December. That was Christmas Eve. Like, there's still like another week of December, and we know that Kate was down there Christmas night.
But Kate seemed unsure about it being December, and to me, if she knew that she got put in the basement on Christmas night, she should know it's only been a couple of days.
I'm just saying technically it could have been December. But let's just assume that Jeanette did go back at some point, and we know that the next night that Jeanette was in the basement. So yeah, maybe she did go back, maybe she did see her, and at this point she was like popular and she would lose everything. I mean, we see her crying at one point when they show on the news that Kate is rescued, and like, why are you crying, Jeanette? I mean, why? I don't know. If you guys have an idea, put it in the comments down below. So that way, why Jeanette could potentially be lying is that if she did go back to the house again and did see Kate through the window, like Kate was saying, if Kate was telling the truth about that, then she'd have a lot to lose. So maybe she just saw her and was like, I'm not getting involved in this. So that'd be one reason why I wouldn't believe her.
And another reason why it could be difficult to believe Jeanette in all of this is that she has a propensity to lie about numerous things. One of the main things that was focused on in this season was the necklace that Kate presented the police. And for reasons known only to Jeanette, she lied about throwing it out you know, why she did that. I guess so it didn't implicate her in being in Martin's house, but she lied about it, and it came off in Martin's house, and Kate found it.
I mean, we don't know if Jeanette knows that's where it went missing, but she did have...
But we know she didn't throw it out. We know that she knows she didn't throw it out.
Right, that's true. But there are just so many other things that she lied about. Like when she went on the date with Gideon, she lied about being in with the popular kids, which it seems harmless, but that's just another time that she lied. So she's
constantly lying about Martin's house and the keys.
Yep. So there were little things as when I was watching it back a second time that she would lie about here and there that makes us think like, all right, she's not a reliable narrator. She lies a lot. So maybe she is lying about this. But ultimately, what do we think? What is our theory here on how this is going to play out if we actually find out in the finale who's telling the truth and who's lying? I do lean towards Jeanette. I think that Jeanette is telling the truth. I could be totally wrong.
Well, the only way I think we could be wrong is if the show provides something new, because from what we've seen, the question may have already been answered. We may get no new information about who saw what, because that part may have already happened.
Right. Is she going to win her case, though? I know we're going to find that out. I'm just Team Jeanette, and I really like Kate. I think Kate's an incredibly likable character. I just think based on the information that we have, Jeanette is telling the truth about this. So that takes care of theory number one, our predictions for what's going to happen in the finale with Jeanette and Kate. Nothing against Kate, because I also want to feel some justice for her. And speaking of that, what the heck happened the day she was rescued?
That's one of the big mysteries of the entire season. I can't wait to find out. I hope we get it in the finale. I hope that's not dragged out into a second season, assuming that there is a second season at some point. I'm hoping we find out who stumbles upon the clues that Martin is holding her captive.
John and I actually, so when we were talking about filming this video and what we were going to say, John and I differ on this. So I said to him, I wonder like how the cops found out. And John was like, well, I want to know who put together the clues. So
they're one and the same, no doubt, but someone has to alert the cops. So knowing the kind of show this is, I think it's going to be a main character of the show is going to put the pieces together. They're going to probably struggle with it. Is this real? Is it? And before, like, I think there's going to be a decision to make. Okay, do we call the cops? Do we have enough information? I'm assuming. I don't think it's just going to, unless Kate saves herself. I guess that could happen.
Well, that's what I said too. I was like, maybe somehow she does get up the stairs, gets to a phone or something. I mean, if she does call the cops, why wouldn't she just run out? Like, or maybe she thinks that her chances are better if she calls the cops and then tries to run, because maybe if she ran out of the house, you know, Martin would risk chasing after her and hope nobody would see her and bring her back in.
Right.
So,
and I'm assuming if she does save herself, there's going to be some sort of, I think we just...
I was like, what just fell down?
Forky. Anyway, if she does save herself, I'm assuming there's going to have to be some sort of distraction, diversion. Something's going to have to happen to take Martin's attention off of Kate, I assume, that gives her the opportunity to escape, call the police, injure him, whatever it is that gets her out of there.
Well, so that actually ties into the third question and biggest question. Well, I guess it's not the biggest question, but to me, like, I think it's one of the bigger mysteries, which is why we put a video out on it last week.
It's certainly the most mysterious, right? Because it's kind of been left there just lurking in the clouds.
Right. And what is that? It is, who is Annabelle? And why I bring this up. Now, we're not going to get too much into detail. If you guys want to know more about who we think Annabelle could potentially be, then just make sure you guys watch the video we put out last week. You guys had so many comments. Again, thank you so much for watching, for liking, for giving us all your theories, because there were a lot of things like we didn't consider when I made that video. So again, thank you for that. But we do know that Kate says to the therapist something to the effect of, Martin was acting strange that day that she got rescued, and that was when she met Annabelle. So how does Annabelle tie in? Some people thought it was a firearm. Some people thought it was Angela. Some people thought it could be Mallory, a past victim, maybe their child together. A lot of other people said maybe it was a passport of Kate and he created this identity for Kate and they were gonna escape, which that could make sense in that maybe that's how she got away. She had this passport and he was going to take her out of the house, so maybe that was somehow how she was able to get to a phone. We also don't know how their relationship was near the end of when she was the prisoner in the basement. Maybe at that point she was sort of tried to
like soften the relationship to get her back to the main part of the house.
Like lie and say like, oh, you know, I want to be with you, and instead of calling him a sicko and a monster, she tried to make him seem like she was still in love with him and try to gain his trust back. That could be possible too, and then she saw that as an opportunity to get the heck out.
Of all the things that we've heard, I sort of like that one the best. One, obviously, giving her the name Annabelle through a passport is interesting. It also gives her the opportunity to get out from the basement if they're going to try to flee to somewhere. And it gives her the opportunity, if there's some diversion, to either injure him, to like, you know, knock him out, whatever, and get to a phone and call the police, or just get herself out of the house. So yeah, I like that one. Firearm's interesting too. I don't know.
The other thing I thought about, could it have been his mother? Something I thought maybe, he talks about his father dying by suicide, but he doesn't mention anything about his mom. Could it have been a murder-suicide? Could his father have killed his mother and then killed himself? Because I thought maybe that's what happens. Like if Annabelle is the firearm, or whoever Annabelle is, but that aside, like could that have been his plan? To kill Kate, then kill himself? Maybe was his experience when he was a teenager, what happened to his parents. As you guys wrote that in the comments, I apologize, I missed that one, but I thought that could be another, I don't think that's really what it is, but it was just something that crossed my mind, like, could it be his mother that's Annabelle? And
we talked about, and many of you have commented about, is Annabelle a past victim of Martin's, and is it a past victim that he has kept as a prize, if you will? I don't know. That one might be too morbid.
Yeah, I feel like it could be like maybe a photo of her. I don't think it's actually that dark. But yeah, when John said that, I was like, no, that's
yeah, that's more.
That's too morbid, and I don't want to see that.
That would be very Norman Bates-ish, though. But yes,
I think they'd probably go with the picture on that. But I was just really trying to think, like, what would be something so out of left field? And I don't know. Some people, like I said Angela, which maybe could make sense, or you know, Mallory we talked about, but the passport I do think seems like why that could work in terms of like how she could have gotten out.
The only thing though that all of this doesn't really, I don't understand why she can't really remember the details about Annabelle. Like, what is so forgettable about a passport? Why would she even be trying to block that out?
But if that's what it is, maybe that's not it, because that's actually a good point. Why did she block it out? Oh, speaking of good point, someone else in the comments wrote, and I apologize, I don't have everyone's handles, but again, thank you so much for commenting and being part of the conversation. Somebody wrote, when she wrote Annabelle 3 times, she wrote a bird on it, or like could have been a seagull or just some kind of bird like that. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but could that have been maybe Martin was planning to take her away and escape, and they were going to go someplace tropical, and that could have been a reason why it was the passport, or maybe not at all, but maybe just that bird could mean something, but we don't know what it means. And another thing about the campfire, I actually do think she was telling the story about herself and using the name Annabelle, not as if she were Annabelle, but like that name meant something to her. So clearly Annabelle stuck with her. Why? I don't know why she would remember. I mean, I guess that day was really traumatic, so maybe she's just trying to block what happened. So
to me, though, her not remembering would speak to it not being a passport. To me, it would have to be something traumatic. Annabelle would have to be, you almost don't want to think about that name because it brings back something truly horrific.
Guys, right now it's like 9:30 at night and it's dark out, and just even thinking about this is like giving me the creeps.
Yeah, as long as Annabelle's not some...
Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Don't. I know where you're going with that.
All right.
Don't say it. Okay. I'm so creeped out, guys.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we're going to leave this in, but maybe it'll be funny to watch. So those are like the big things, the theories that we have on what could potentially happen. Are we right? I have no idea. That's why they're theories. But when I was rewatching the show and watching the show back, there were some things I noticed that, to get into all of them, it would just take too long. So I'm gonna throw some questions out there that when I was watching, I was like, oh, this can mean something, that can mean something. John was like, oh, just character development. But I was like, I don't know, I feel like some stuff like means something. Like something that may not mean anything, but I just thought it was interesting. Like when Jeanette takes the yearbook, I paused it and I looked at all the names of the books, except for like one like vocab book and a diet book. First of all, almost every book that I could see didn't come out in 93, 94, 95. One came out in 96 and the rest were like the 2000s or like the late 90s. So those books weren't even really part of the timeline. But they were all like true crime or like murder mystery or like something like that. So I thought that was interesting and well done by the props or writers or whoever producers who did that. Another thing that stuck out to me, so in the first episode, I think it's Jeanette's bike. They make it seem like it's Jeanette's bike. She has a card in the wheel. She has an 8 of diamonds in her wheels. So why do I mention this? I wrote it down just wondering, they showed it a close-up. We do see that card again when Kate is playing, I'm guessing, solitaire. You see her place like a final card, or just the card you see her place down is an 8 of diamonds. So I don't know if that means anything. I was looking it up and it could be something with personality, but if you guys want to dive more into that, please do, and like let me know in the comments down below. I couldn't find anything like finite on like what the 8 of diamonds specifically means, but if you're into like tarot cards, apparently you can read like a deck of cards also, and it's a type of person. So again, if you guys want to explore that, please do let me know what you guys find in the comments down below. But back to more like questions that I have. In the first episode, Jamie has his firearm in the glove compartment, and then we never see it again. I was really trying to pay attention. I never saw it again. We see him put the flask in a later episode in that glove compartment, and if there was a firearm in there, they don't show it to you. We can't see it. So if it's in there, it's well hidden or it's not there. So I want to know what the deal is with that. The other thing is, well, I have a bunch. Angela. I mean, John didn't think really much of Angela, but I was like, she like kind of comes into town. Was it just coincidence she hit Greg's car? Like, I know she could have gone to his real estate office, but maybe she wanted to make sure like she had him, and I don't know. I don't think she would have been trying to break up their marriage per se, but I feel like maybe something could have happened to her. Some people thought, like I said, that she was Annabelle. I don't think that's the case, but I think there's something there with her. I think there's more to the story with Mallory than we know. What about that snow globe? Like, why did Mallory keep it? Why isn't she telling Kate? Like, she specifically says at one point, no secrets, like, to Kate, and yet she's keeping this huge secret that she has the snow globe that she knows, or at least I would assume she knows, is from Martin Harris's house. Like, why keep that secret? Whether Mallory's Annabelle or not, I think that her story there's more to play there. Some people thought that Annabelle could be Mallory's mom, but people were saying that Sylvia the therapist could be Mallory's mom, and that plays in some way, which I guess could potentially be true. And then so maybe Mallory calls her mom Janice. Like, we don't know if that's actually her name. Maybe that's just a nickname she has, or her middle name, or who knows, but sure. But the only thing I will say about why I don't think that it's her mom is because if she's a therapist, a private therapist in Texas, your house is gonna be bigger than what Mallory's house is. We've seen Mallory's house, the front of it, at least a few times. That's not what a private therapist would make.
Speaking of houses, can I just say something about Martin Harris's house? He's an assistant principal in his early 30s, right? At least not 29?
No,
he's late 20s?
He's got to be 29.
29, okay. I knew he was somewhere around 30. How is his home? Well,
the starter when he buys that house.
Right, yeah, so how is his home so big? He's an assistant principal. I mean, an educator, what can he make? $150,000? And this is the 1990s. Now I know
it's in Texas.
Right.
It's not New York.
It's huge. I mean, we get to see it really a lot in episode 9 where Martin and Kate are running around the house.
Yeah,
and
the house is massive.
The bathroom, the bedroom, the
fireplace
closet,
in the bathroom, in the bedroom.
That made me like realize how beautiful and big the house is. Yeah. Was the master bedroom, master suite, master closet. It was like, I mean, that house looks like it's over $1 million. Now, the one thing I'll say, he may not have all his money from his job. We do know his parents died. Right. They could have been wealthy. His father. They could have been wealthy. He could have inherited that money. So maybe that is how he affords it. But I'm actually surprised that that's not one of the questions that's ever come up in the show.
Yeah. And the last question I want to end with, and now watching it back, we really only see this one time. It's only mentioned once, at least verbally mentioned once. When Jeanette breaks into the house, this is in 95, and Vince follows her and she's in the basement, she talks about the supernatural. And again, this is going to give me like chills, guys. Because I'm not shooting it in the morning, which I'm now regretting since we're going to go to bed soon and I'm going to be thinking about this. But anyway, she talks about the supernatural and could she have triggered something like into motion, and now she feels like she has to like undo it or fix things. I felt like, why mention that if it's not going to come up again? And if they are setting it up for a season 2, maybe it will be revealed then. But I just sort of got this like, ooh, kind of like feeling like, why are you talking about that? Does Annabelle have anything to talk about that? That's something else I want to know more about, because why mention that at all if you're not going to follow through with it. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, if you picked up anything on that, please let us know in the comments down below. That to me was something, I don't know how we just kind of like breezed over that. Like it was just like, oh, here's like a supernatural kind of thing. The show has no supernatural in it at all, but we're gonna throw this out there and then just not talk about it again. I feel like that could come back, whether it's in the finale, maybe not, because we only have about like 40 something minutes to get through a lot of stuff. I feel like if they have a season 2, that will come back into play. But let me know in the comments down below what you think.
I think also if we have a season 2, I think...
Don't creep me out, John. Whatever it is.
No, I think if there was a season 2, I think what could be interesting is exploring Martin's past prior to coming to town. When he was a assistant principal at Willow Falls. Willow Falls, yeah. Thank you. Because we know there's a whole story there about him tutoring a young girl because Kate talks about it.
Right,
and she defends him that it's, oh, it was just tutoring, but was it really just tutoring? Or was
and the girl comes, well, we think it's the same girl, but maybe it's not the same girl because who knows if he has other victims. Another thing I want to know more about is why is Cindy so obsessed with the Wallises? Like, I so many times noted, and I like read John back my notes, and I'm like, I feel like I just keep saying, like in every Jeanette episode, or even some of the non-Jeanette episodes, somehow Cindy brings up the Wallises. Oh, like, you know, tell the Wallis kids hello, and like, oh, you should, you know, you and Kate could become good friends, or like, oh, let's, you know, we went to the same step class, like we should have a girls' day at the spa. It just seemed like she had some kind of obsession, and at one point, I think it's to Neil, one of the friends says something about, you know, your mom is a has-been or something. So I don't know. And I also feel like Cindy really pushed Jeanette to be this popular girl. So I felt like it's not all on Jeanette. Like her mother was really pushing her to blossom and to be part of the popular crowd and kind of, you know, forget Mallory and your friends and hang out with Kate Wallis. So I'd like to know more about that, and also what happened when Cindy was gone all that time. And what happened there. So it clearly affected Jeanette. She goes from, well, she changes, you know, from 93, 94, 95, but I think that having her mom not there really impacted how she was. Those are just some of the questions. There were so many more, but it just would be impossible to talk about all of them. So those are the ones that just stuck with me. But if you guys have questions that you're hoping to have answered, please note them in the comments down below. I really love interacting with you guys and hearing your opinions, and I am super excited for this finale tomorrow night. Cannot wait to see what happens. Although John didn't watch Pretty Little Liars and I did, and I keep telling him it just gives me those, you know, PLL vibes like so much. Like, who's A? Who's Annabelle? I mean, it even has the same like letter. I just feel like whatever is resolved will just sort of have a lot more questions, and that's what also makes me think of Lost. Like, this one question's answered, but now we have like 20 more. If there is a season 2, which fingers crossed, I hope there is, because I don't think they're going to tie everything up in a bow. I hope they do at least tie up this season. Previously, when Cage and I were talking about it, I compared this show to a little bit like 13 Reasons Why. I feel like they can wrap something up here in this season, but still give you enough meat on the bone to have spin-off seasons. Like I mentioned before, we could go back and retrace the steps of how Martin, you know, came to town. Right. There's a lot that we could do, or we could take deeper dives and looks into some of the friends of Kate and Jeanette. So there's a lot that we could still explore. I told John no. It's like tied up in a bow. It won't. It won't be. I'm not thinking it's gonna be tied in a bow. What I want to get out of this finale is how Kate was rescued. Our 3 questions. Yeah. Yeah. What happened the day Kate was rescued? Who's telling the truth? And who's Annabelle? But anyway, it's getting late. Now I'm afraid to go to bed. I'm gonna have to watch, like, I don't know, Golden Girls or something light and airy to fall asleep to. But let us know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Are these your 3 biggest questions? Do you have more questions in addition to our like bonus section there? What are your thoughts? How's it gonna end? Like, what can we expect? What are your theories? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you guys liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Ding that notification bell. And like I said, leave us a comment. We have lots of questions and really want to hear from you guys. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for all of the love we got on the last video. I hope you find this one just as valuable as the last one. And stay tuned, because we will 100% be doing a video on the finale, on our thoughts, on, I'm hoping they leave it somewhat tied up, but also like room for us to have theories for hopefully next season. So stay tuned for that, because we will be doing that as well. And with that, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Bye. You know that I'm the queen of